All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. All right, coming to you a little bit earlier today. I've got some things I got to do this afternoon, so I thought we'd just jump into it here. I'm going to start out where I did last week. We're going to look at the big picture here. Before I get too far into it, just a reminder, we've got a nice little promo with our sponsor, BloFin. Right? Nice little thing they're running here for new accounts, new users, up to $150. Just deposit $1,000 into your futures trading account, they'll give you a quick bonus of $150. We're very happy with this exchange. So this is just a way to encourage you to give it a look, give it a try. No KYC. It's very, very easy to use. You open an account in less than 5 minutes, pop some Bitcoin over there, a stable coin, and bang, you got a quick 150. Okay, right? So just link is directly below, as it is in all of our videos, right? We're very happy with these guys. Think you will be too. Okay, back over to Bitcoin. So I did this last week, just to keep some perspective now. All right, now I'm over here on crypto, so I have full history. Now we're focused on here our low. That's what I'm trying to focus on, of 15.5 all the way up. Right, very, very clearly we have a 5-wave impulse. Shouldn't surprise many. Now, this is interesting, right? So as we talked about this last week, there's a secondary pivot here that's tied to the Elliott count. Now, the ALGO here, it's kind of wishful thinking here that we might anticipate, it's working off of the ABCDE into that, and we get a perfect golden zones for the potential that this is 1, 2, and we're starting the extension here in the 5th. So, let me get rid of that. Possible, yes, although the finish here is suspect. So we shall see, but that's not insignificant. That doesn't make me want to rush out and buy it, but it's, noteworthy. So that said, now, what was our low here? Approximately, let's call it 75, right? A full 50% to come back down into all of this. Well, you can imagine. I'm on crypto, so I can't get a volume profile, but you can imagine this would be a massive high volume node right here. So if we trade into this and we do a 50, that's not freak out. That's step up. Very, very high odds. I'll say it that way. Very, very high odds that those with the resources to buy would look at this as just a tremendous, tremendous buying opportunity. Of course, if indeed we complete a 1, 2 here, well, what is that doing for 3, 4, and 5? It puts, 3, assuming, right, we're going to do a 1, 6, 1, 8 off of this 50, right? Now you got to connect here because I've got 2 of them. The big one, the outside one, would put you up here at over 2. Oops. Over 2 for your wave 3. I know, it's a little bull porny, but is it? Note here, I'm at log scale. So 1, did we get a 2? Do we go that deep? I don't know that we need to. But if we do, that's not panic, freak out. That's just what whales would want you to do, right? Completely capitulate here. Oh my God, we're down to 60K. I got to get out. There will be plenty of very deep pockets here absorbing all of that. So not time to panic, not time to do anything other than your best TA to look for, do we have the ingredients here for a good low? My view, we've got a temporary low. The absolute low, it doesn't quite fit with the price action, which we'll look at in a second. So just a reminder here, if we break and we come lower, whoa, that's step up time. Okay, so having said that now, let's go over and look at where we are. And the reason I don't think we're quite done yet. Now, here's that golden zone we're just looking at here. Now, I'm down to a 4-hour here. And on the premise here that we've got our all-time high here, this account has been reworked a few times based on, right? So that's not uncommon, of course, for an elitician to work through new price action, then work backwards, say, well, if it's not that, then it must be this, which is a lot of what has happened throughout this entire period. Now, this seems to make the most sense here. We've got a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So we've got a weird start to it. But it's certainly technical that we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 expanding diag with a kicker in the 5th. This is just a little, you can't count that. A, B, C is about the best you can do with this, so some sort of a flat. And then we get this thing, it looks like you had all the ingredients here to finish, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a nice impulse to finish this. Well, again, this is the you know, you hear me say often, this is the huge advantage that Elliott Wave has over any other technical approach, period. If it's not this, and we've gone into a 3 here and we swept that low, well, certainly it can't be 1, 2. It's not, I mean, we start to eliminate choices here. Well, if it's a WXY, now first assumption is that that's correctly labeled. Well, we had a candidate here for that to be a low, right? Maybe you're thinking, oh, shit, are they going to front run the golden zone? It's possibly, right? Again, it's a secondary pivot. We're pulling from that, which the algo does not care about. Algo does not care about your triangle E wave into a Y of a 4. Does not care. What he's going to use major pivots. So in some respects, I think that might be better to hide that, because I think that's distorts your perception. So let's acknowledged. Okay, now if we're coming out of here, how are we going to do it? Well, we didn't get an impulse, right? We got a 3. So that your first thought would be, could that be the X? Well, length of time, possible, definitely. You might have been thinking, oh, that's the X. We're going to go A, B, C. Right? That doesn't quite work. So you're getting forced into the potential here. We looked at this last week that we've gone 3. And then we get a series of 5. I get a zigzag here. I get a 5, 3, 5. Well, if this isn't a 1 and I've gone into a zigzag here, I've swept the low, the process of elimination, there's only a few things that I can work into this. Of course, with my Elliott hat on to say, okay, what are the alternates? Well, could this be a 3, 3, 5, right? Where we'd have an expanded B into a flat. A, B, C, A, B, C. We got to deal with these 5s, right? We got to account for them. To 2, they stand out even more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there's your 4 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do I reconcile that zigzag there? Well, this is about, I think, as clean a count as we can come up with here. This was very influenced by my sensei, PK. Members, of course, know and love him. He's an Elliott Wave master, and this is the, I do the same thing members do. I go to these masters and go, I'm struggling with this. What do you see here? This is very influenced by that. So it looks like we come out of here. Now let's go to a 30-minute and take a look at what's happening here. Now you'll note I've got a volume profile on it. I'm pulling the volume profile from this low, right? So we're looking at what's happening right here. Okay, 1, 2. Well, the 3 is clean, right? We swept the low, hit an order block. Okay, maybe it's not the prettiest one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I can live with that. But a candidate. Now, how were we technical? Same process every time. All right, wait, low edge of value, right? Remember, I'm pulling from this level here. So that's very valid here. We're low edge of value, right? It's a very common place to see some support. We got through, came back up. Now test. Oh, here we go. Now this is today, of course, right? So I have a potential corner pocket here, not a golden, but a corner pocket. Pretty high. Well, 80% odds we get there, right? Now, but we don't have to stop there just because it tags it, right? Doesn't mean that, oh, that's the pivot. Certainly it could be. It could be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before we go up for this 3. Certainly a candidate. That's a pretty vertical move. Not much subdivision in it, right? So I'm just kind of watching it, letting that play. Of course, right? Hopefully, right? Members will know this. Anyone who's been a sub for any length of time knows we've got some resistance to get through. And this is the nearby resistance, right? We got to note where that is. Right at the value area high. So if we're going to push through this here and perhaps go up towards this, we got some big hurdles to get through, as in there's going to need to be catalysts. There's going to need to be very strong hands buying into this. Of course, we have multiple pivots to get through. If we clear this, right, and we get on the other side of the value area here, maybe we'll expand, right? We would just expand the area that we're drawing from. We got to go to this one. Then we got to go to this one. All right, so a lot of technical resistance to get through. Ultimately, the big one, before we're going to challenge those highs, will be right here up at 98. Now, look how that plays into the premise here that perhaps, again, you don't know till you know. A, B, C, where we would complete the fifth of the C of the X. Right, so I'm assuming you see that the 1, 2, 3, 4, right, into the 5 here. Perhaps we run into that golden here where we have that resistance. That would suggest back down. If this is our absolute low, I'm going to be, well, I'll call it pleasantly surprised, right? Very surprised. So I think we've got a lot has to happen here before we start getting very bullish again. Of course, what's going on in the broader markets, just the risk on, risk off sentiment is certainly going to affect Bitcoin. But today we're risk on, and we've got a little bit of a recovery rally. Now, does it sustain? Well, that's a very big question mark. But the zigzag here, I think, is leading the analysis here. But so I've got a corrective 3. I've swept this low, right? So all of the ingredients were here. We swept the low, right? We got a fairly good push. We didn't get dramatic in separation here. No big fair value gaps. We didn't get huge displacement. Well, we got a swing, a retrace, a swing, a retrace. It's candidate, right? So am I locked and loaded and loading up the boat here? No, definitely not, right? I'll get more bullish here. I want to see do we get an impulse here, right? Because here again, this is the huge advantage of Elliott Wave. It's not optional. I have to get an impulse here. If I get an impulse here, well, maybe the 4 to the 5 would be a short-term kind of a trade to consider. Right, but keep in mind that many are going to look at this and think, oh, the low's in. I'd be very curious to have anyone tell me how we're completing this down here. If you've got a count that gets that done, post it underneath this video. I'd like to see it. I can't find a solution here that gets the low in here. That without some massive distortion, right? Just you can probably always force something in. So it looks to me like we're not quite done yet. Now, of course, this could all get reworked, right? Something big happens, one side or the other. You're back here revisiting this going, if it's not that, then it must be this. And if it's not this, well, then it must be that. Right? Nothing else gives you that clarity and that those forks in the road of the decision matrix that you make as a trader. Nothing else, nothing better than Elliott. I know many will disagree. Usually those are people that have not spent the time and the effort and the screen time watching, learning. Right? They love to shit on it. Okay, right. So there's Bitcoin. I don't think we need to do a whole lot more here. I've got a few other teed up. I'm going to stay with majors here again. I'm kind of short on time, so bear with me. SUI, kind of a new favorite. What's driving this count here, I think, is it's kind of forcing what's happening here. Is this 3? We don't finish with a 5, right? So we get a 5 here, but this 3 is kind of forcing your hand. Again, that's love it or hate it with Elliott. I can't finish that. Well, it seems very unlikely here that we're going to finish with a 3, right? So what does that leave, right? So I can get an A, expand the B. Remember, the B is the sucker rally, right? It's to induce retail into buying up here at all-time highs, right? Which is something, for 6 years I've been trying to preach. Don't be that guy. Don't do that. Again, you can take my word for it, right? You've heard me say this for many years, right? I was that guy for many years. Oh, fuck you. I know what's coming. All right. I would buy. Again, you do it enough times, right? The market's going to teach you, right? So you can either learn from me or others, right? Most would give you that same suggestion that you not be a buyer at all-time highs. Certainly not in crypto, right? The only market you can get away with that on is equities. It's a terrible habit, right? If you get away with it, right, it's even worse, right? Because then it reinforces the bad habit. You'll keep doing it, and sooner or later you're going to learn that lesson the hard way. Or you could just listen to someone who's been doing this for as long as I have, and has done it enough times to know, okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore. Coming out of that B, I can get a C here. It's a little bumpy in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're kind of stuck with it. Clearly a triangle here. And then I got an A, B, but I can't quite finish it here. Yet again, I've got another 3. So that suggests to me that I've gone A, B, 1, 2, 3, working on that 4. I like it here for that 50. Remember, in a diag, which we will be if it's going to finish this way, we're looking for a reaction at the 50 from the start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3. So coming back for the 4. And it makes sense because in a diag, it's a battle between bulls and bears, right? There's not agreement of trend. So a big up, big down, big up, big down would be consistent with what we're seeing here. Now, of course, we have this huge order, this huge volume node here. And we are in log scale. But that huge volume node right here, what are we looking for? The push back down, the capitulation, if you will, right? One more where people are like, oh my God, what would we be doing there? A 50% retracement from the high. That would be 50%. Here's the golden zone, low edge of value. Granted, it's log scale. That would get us done here for a candidate. Right now, again, the market is not obligated ever to do anything to complete a pattern. It's not, right? It's just, what do they usually do, right? We would be anticipating that finishing in 5. You don't have a 5 here to finish it. You got an A, B, C. There's no way to rework. I've tried. There's no way to rework it to get you done here, even though that's the POC. Now, take it out of log scale. It's not a whole lot better, right? But you will have blown through the golden zone from the low. Oh, let's go back to a 4. Right, from your proposed low here. Well, now you're through golden. It certainly puts the emphasis on the idea that we're seeking the 2. So now, then you have to look at it and go, well, all right, well, do I need what? So one other thing to consider, if you're doing it with your Elliott hat on here, you still break. If you're doing it the way the algo is going to do it, because it doesn't care about your Elliott count, it's going to go dominant to dominant, right? The lowest low to the highest high. W, triangle X, A, B, looking for that C to finish down here at a 2, which puts us right back into all of this consolidation here, the high volume here. So as we're already there, right? Come down to the POC, launch point. It's one to keep a very close eye on, right? They're likely not going anywhere. Okay, so that's SUI. I thought we'd look at SEI here as well because this is pretty technical. I'm on an 8-hour here. I'm a crypto, so I have full history here. It's hard to argue with the 5 up, A, B, diag to finish the C. So it looks like we've got a W, X. I consider that an impulse here as an A, B, but I think oops, I know that's annoying. I think it plays better as a W, X. It's legit. I can get it done here via the impulse here. It's not a diag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big 4. This gets a little wonky, but essentially you'd have to do, you could do it a couple of different ways. A, B, C is probably the cleanest way to do it. Into an X. A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Looks like we've got a candidate here. Now, remember, you might be saying, oh, but it didn't ping the median line. Well, there's your 80%, right? It's burned. It's a one-time use, right? So your 80%, ka-ching. Coming back the other way. No, this is in log scale. Do we need to be in log scale? Well, you lose the tag of the median line, right? But we're going from 9 cents to $1.15, right? 10 times the range. Yeah, so you got to look at it in log scale. Ping. Hit the register. One more roll down. Does not have to ping it again. Looks like there could be one more. If you get down into that, it looks like there's a need for, if we do it here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, it might be done. You'd have to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you'd overlap here. So you don't get a clean finish unless you're going to finish that as a diag. A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. But that would suggest well, if I label it. Come here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? For a diag in a series of 3s. So with the new rules, right, we don't have to have the overlap, but the ABC would be clean. That would put us in here for the 3, and the 5 would have to move over here. So I'll take that up a degree so you can see a little better. 1, 2, 3, right? So we're doing it through a series of 3s. Implies just that, right? We don't know. No one knows. It implies one more leg down here. Since we're anticipating a push up and then a swing down in Bitcoin. Be interesting to see how this plays. I really looked at a possible, is there some way to do this 1 2 1 2? It would be another 1 2, right? It's too many, right? So I think you're better served to work through the series of threes, because that's such a clear three, and you're overlapped here by a couple of ticks. So the idea was 1 2 that we would do this is getting challenged right now. God, have we already overlapped it? Yeah, we have. So 1 2 3 4. You got a couple of issues there. Even if you tried it here, I was trying to do this. Let's go up here. I'll do it on the fly here. Then I got to get out of here. So let's try it. 1 2 3 4 5. Can't do it. Right, it overlaps here. And this looks like well, that's an impulse, right? So you'd have to do it as 1 2. So there's a real candidate here that this has got to go higher. So let me change this here. Hang on a second. I'll just do it. Well, here I just paused the video for a second, see if I could finish this. You have the same problem again. We've just overlapped here, so we can't get a clean impulse, right? There's a slight overlap everywhere you look. Every one of the ones is getting overlapped. So even the idea of 1 2 1 2 1 2, unless you went another 1 2, which I don't think is what we have, it sends you back into the idea that we're going A B C, A B C. Oh shit! This would be the 3. A, B, C into the 3, looking for the 4, and then the 5, right? So Bitcoin's gonna rally here a bit. Perhaps this comes along for the ride into the 4. Remember, we're in a diag, right? If that's what it's going to be, we don't know, but if that's what it's going to be, if it looks this way, we'd be looking for a reaction at the 50, start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3. We'd be looking for it at the 50. You got a nice little supply zone right here. You could probably tap into that if we're going to come back up to there, and then that would suggest one more drive down. To get this finished, we get an algo target here, and then should be clean to go. Okay, almost done. One more. Okay, Ripple's getting a lot of attention. It's certainly holding here. Now I'm drawing the volume profile here from this pivot low here, as you see the little box outline it. So we're threatening here as we go below value and then pop back. Now we're back to the POC. It looks like if this is going to hold here, now you'll recall, right? So if we're going to do a 50% retracement here, I'm in log scale. If we're going to do a 50%, that would put us down here at $1.13. Can we avoid that? Well, we can. Market's not obligated to do this. But if we look at how it's playing here, well, that's an 8-hour. Let's go to a 2 here. This is very tricky. Very tricky in here. And anyone, right, it's a bit of a wag, as in a wild ass guess. We can identify the 5s and 3s, but this is not quite. The implication here is that, okay, if we're going to do this as a diag, okay, 1 2 3 4, maybe. Of course, we could have, this could be an ABC of an A, B, and we're going to head lower again if we're going to a 50%. That's not an unreasonable thought, but this looks like, much like Bitcoin, you got to do it as a series of 5s with an extension in the 5th. So I got an A. Then we've got a clear 5 here, so we got to deal with that. So it looks like we can go A, B, C into a B from this A. So A, B, rip up for the C to give us the higher degree B. So A, complexity into that B. Well, now we'd be looking for the C. Well, okay, is this 3 into an A? Or is that 1 2 3 4? We're going to get a diag into a 1 wave of a C, right? That supports the idea that we're going much lower right now. So Bitcoin's going to do a full 50, which that's a very big if. What do we got here? What would be very surprising to me is if we're done here, and then you'd have to do this as a WXY, which seems unlikely. The size of the AB, or well, if we did a W, right? It's the size of the W, X to the Y. It seems very unlikely. So my thought is maybe a little higher. And that's going to be very interesting if it challenges this pivot, right? It's going to make it very complex. If we break that, what are we doing? Again, I'd still think ABC, do we do it in a straight line, right? Are we going to do something impulsive here? Well, that's going to get really funky. So do you have an edge here? Is this accumulation or distribution? Hard to know, right? So I'm very long here, very bullish. I'm not really worried about it. That's what we're anticipating, but do we have to come lower to get that done? I'd love to see, actually I want this to roll over because then I can tell where I am. Right now I don't know where we are. I'm doing my best here to try and look at this and think, okay, well I got to deal with that 5. One way or another I got to deal with that 5, and that's a little bit of a shaky. There's probably other ways to work this. This could be WX, and we're going to work into some sort of a Y here. We could have a triangle here. There's a lot still. This is pencil these in. You can't quite tell yet until we see what happens here. If we break that, then I'm sure we'll be revisiting this next week with something else to accommodate this. I can see a couple of different ways we could do it, but right now, what's the main thing we see here? Consolidation. There, you have no edge. Why are you trading here? It's tempting, right? Well, shit, if it goes, I don't want to miss it. Well, a little accumulation, right? But be prepared if it's coming down lower to continue to accumulate. And I certainly would not advise trading that with leverage. You have absolutely no edge here, right? So you're just, again, might as well go to Vegas. Okay, well, I got that, and then how am I doing? 26. Oh, shit. I was going to try and finish up here with the NQ. This is just as troubling. Now, okay, we like to, okay, great, right? And 1 hour here. We got a little bit of a rally today. That's great, right? We see some relief rally. If this is properly labeled, right, so it's always a big if. If the 1 is in and we're doing a W and we're through this triangle here, no, I'm on a 1 hour here. So if it's A, B, C, A, triangle B into the C for an X, well, I'm looking for an ABC here, and I'm trying to do this. It looks to me like the initial 5, right? Again, we looked at this last week. The initial 5, we're kind of stuck with that. Now, the B is kind of a floater here. Could be here, but it looks like you need the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that 1. Let's go to a 30. Maybe you see that a little bit better. ABC into that 2, 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, you need it. 1. Gets a little funky here. Almost looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't quite do it. See, also here, like it's not quite. I'm reluctant to advise anyone buying here because this would be incredibly unusual. Again, first assumption: is this correctly labeled? Maybe yes, maybe no. If we're going to do a diag, you'd be doing it here on the idea that this was 3. Maybe you had. You'd have to be down to a 5-minute to get a triangle into that, to get that to be the 5, right? So then you'd be thinking, okay, the 4, there's the, it's very shaky, very, very shaky count. Is that a triangle? Can I get a triangle in there? Maybe, right? 3, A, B, C, D, it's a bit of a stretch, right? But maybe you could pull that off, right? We'll see, right? If it starts to really rally, we may well be back here looking at this again. My view is always, why are you in a rush? Let the market prove it if it's going to be bullish. Right? What changed? Just that we hit 10%, right? It's not enough. So even if you thought, oh, 3, okay, well, what now would you be thinking? Well, I think the least probable is that we put in a 5 over here and we're going to truncate the 5, right? That seems very unlikely that we would be truncating the 5th of the 3rd. No. Very unlikely, right? I mean, shit, anything's possible. So from this, if we're pulling from the 2 through the low here, looking for our wave 4, we'd be looking for it somewhere around here. Coming back to this 3, 4, assuming, right, we can get away with that triangle there. 3. It's tempting to do this. That would make me very uncomfortable belonging here because typically on a significant retracement like this, 10% or otherwise, right? We're not going to trunk. It would be just, you can see maybe a little 5 here, a little diag to get that done, but we're going to truncate into this. That's not a low, right? For a 10% corrective low, you'd anticipate some sort of correct capitulation, right? A big swing down on big volume. That's not what that is. So A, B, right? So possibly, right? The 5 is still, come here. 5 is still to come. You might have an A, B, C, something along those lines. I'm not buying yet. I'm not, right? Let's see, right? A lot has to happen, right? We got a long way to go. And of course, the same resistance, it doesn't matter what the asset is, it's all going to be there. We're going to have to get through those goldens. All right, we're going to have to get through this here, where there's the POC of this region that we've highlighted here. So, okay, if we get past that 50, okay, maybe we'll be back here reconsidering this. But that seems incredibly unlikely. Again, anything is possible. That would be shocking, right? That we don't sweep those lows and then launch here. The odds are very slim that we're going to do this without sweeping lows. It's just, has it ever happened? Probably, but I wouldn't be a buyer there just yet, unless you're very short-term scalping. Well, let's see. You could swing trade on a 5-minute. Let's go to a 5, just out of curiosity. I would not be positioning myself betting that we're gonna truncate here, and that's the low. Again, anything's possible. That seems very unlikely. So I'd be anticipating a little retrace here, a relief rally, one more down. Who knows? With this day to day crazy, it's new crazy. So again, just my suggestion, I'd be very cautious down here. Let them, you're not going to miss anything. If it's going to do it, let it, get a good 5 off the low, get a good 5 here. At least then you'd have some evidence here. You would have broken some of this critical resistance here. Maybe, but it's going to have to be, okay, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, well, at that point, I'd be thinking A, B, C myself, right? If we get a 3 and then we start to go again, well, again, I'd be looking for, do I get a 5? If I do, okay, well, now, shit, maybe that's a very unusual. I'll be shocked if that's the low. Okay, if we got that, okay, well, give me the 3, and maybe I take a flyer. I'd take a run at it here on some options, right? That I'd got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm starting to come out of that. But that would imply, again, that we're truncate the 5th. If you're taking that, have a stop on it. Okay, guys, that's all I got today. There's 32 minutes, shorter for me. But, okay, I think we covered anything. Just a reminder here. Love these guys. There's not much to not like. Their rates are as competitive as anything. Or it's no KYC, easy in, easy out. I think you'll like them. Okay, guys, with that, have a good weekend. I'll catch you next week.